Now, we begin totally untypically today with art, a mixture of figurative and abstract forms of art that have emerged from the distress and uneasiness of mind caused by fear of danger or misfortune. It's the works of Sabrina Coleman Pinheiro, a visual artist of Nigerian, British and Sudanese lineage. She's based in Lagos, and her art attempts to give material form to mental disorder, specifically the psychiatric state that manifests itself as anxiety and debilitating panic attacks. Millions of people, of course, suffer from anxiety, but most have never had a proper diagnosis and keep it secret. So Sabrina's art has become a sort of cognitive behavior therapy, each work a step into the unknown, revealing buried, inherently intangible thoughts, offering shape to things that can only be felt, and taking viewers on a journey through a mind dealing with mental disorder. Well, to walk us through her anxiety art, if I could call it that, I'm joined now on the line from Toronto by the Nigerian, British, Sudanese visual artist Sabrina Coleman Pinheiro. Thank you for that wave. That makes us feel nice and warmly welcome. Thank you very much indeed, Sabrina, for joining us. Let's get straight to it. Could it be said that your current art is dominated by anxiety, the cause of it and its manifestation?
Yes, that's actually very correct. Because this is something I deal with every single day. And with my art creative process, I try to ensure that I am being as honest as possible and I am talking about matters that are very personal. So anxiety literally clouds, it's like a cloud that kind of covers my whole day and has been covering my whole life since I was about like 17. So I can't but talk about it. I don't have the option of not talking about it, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's interesting the way that it manifests itself through your art. But before we get to that, just very briefly, I mean, isn't anxiety a normal part of life?
So it is when it's just anxiety. When it becomes anxiety disorder, then it becomes a problem. I think people tend to mistake the two, because the act of being worried about something or panicking about something is completely normal. We're human beings. We want to control situations that we a lot of times have no control over. However, when that panic starts to affect your daily life, then it becomes a problem. So cases where I'm scared about entering a car because I have already thought about the end. I've already thought about the fact that the car is going to crash and then I'm going to die in the car. I'm panicking about that, or not being able to take basic decisions because I've thought through these outcomes and I feel like everything's going to fail. So living in a constant state of doom, then it becomes a problem because you cannot live life the way you're supposed to in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. But I mean, we've identified the fact that your current art is dominated by anxiety, the cause of it, its manifestation, etc. Is there also hope of managing that anxiety in your art? Are your works a form of therapy in themselves?
Yes, they are, because the creative process teaches you a lot about yourself, your abilities and your limitations. And by creating, by painting, by trying to give form to my challenges, my fears, I learn how, in understanding how to manage them on the canvas, I get insight how to manage them in my daily life, if that makes sense. So when I'm working with a medium like acrylic paint and I'm struggling with it and it's not moving in the way I want it to move, I am forced to sit back and think about how to better manage it. And in that process, I get some insight into how to better manage other challenges in my life. Because as an artist, you spend a lot of time with yourself. And the creative process also requires a lot of critiquing of yourself. It forces a lot of introspection. And in that introspective process, you end up finding answers that a lot of times you would not have been able to find if you were not creating. So
Yeah.
it's quite therapeutic.
Yeah, that's a good point, because of course introspection is a form of meditation, and meditation certainly has its healing properties. And I'm just wondering, Sabrina, if this time, this era of COVID made you have more anxieties. I mean, a lot of people, you know, people know people who have had COVID. I mean, has that hit home in a big way, sort of thing?
Actually, yes, because for now, not my immediate family, but for a lot of my parents' friends that are in an older demographic, they've dealt with that. Some of them have died from it. My mother-in-law actually had COVID, but she recovered. And there's something about dealing with your own mortality as a human that has a way of kind of kicking you and causing you to panic, because we go through life thinking tomorrow is assured and yes, we're going to see the next day. But then when you have people that either you have been around or you have made some sort of contact with pass from this disease, it's a very harrowing experience. I think during the pandemic, I had to have a lot more sessions with my therapist, because I would go into stores and I would come back out because I couldn't be in the store because I was scared of people. I was scared of being in that environment. I was scared of the air. I was just terrified of my own existence, which is what I guess a lot of people were also going through at that time as well.
But in a strange way, I wonder if there is a sense that a lot of people's anxiety might actually be getting better because of COVID. Because, I mean, the pace of life was forced to slow down quite a bit, which meant that you were meeting, you weren't meeting as many sort of anxiety situations as you normally would.
So I think that in that case, it's a double-edged sword, because on one end, you're dealing with a pandemic and the fear of, impending doom. And on the other end, you're forced to, as you said, slow down, take a step back, and really assess the things that are important, and what you want to spend your time doing. So it's, in a lot of cases also, I think it's also a matter of perspective. So in the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot of panic and a lot of anxiety. But I think as we got through it, we realized that maybe our pace of life wasn't the best for us. We were giving ourselves a lot more trouble than we should have. And some people did find solace in the slower paced life that I guess came out of COVID.
Right. Now let's move back into your art specifically. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I noticed the characters in your works don't seem to have their own identity. Do you consciously remove the identity of these people?
Yes, because these characters are representations of me. So these are multiple versions of me that are fragmented and that are existing in this space. Now, when my works are shown, I'm hoping that the public or the viewer can put themselves in that situation and see multiple representations of themselves. So these humanoid kind of faceless forms are just fragments of, I guess, me and the essence of who I am, just existing in this kind of chaotic situation or dealing with inner chaos and inner angst in this space that I guess I would call life.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Where can people see your current work? I think it's titled Thoughts.
So my current work actually is showing at the Lineage Gallery. The show is called It's a Wrap. And it's actually it's fragmented versions of self. And what I've done is I've attached different scenarios to these fragmented versions of self. So one of them is called in opposition with myself. And that kind of talks about dealing with a situation where you've you've kind of thought about how you're going to solve this issue or whatever challenge might come across. And then that situation comes and it's complete opposite of what you thought you were going to do. And then there's that inner conflict and you're questioning yourself, you're questioning your own abilities, questioning your inability to handle this thing the way you thought it was going to occur, your inability to control. And so that's what that's about. And I have Lingering in Chaos and some other pieces, but they're currently showing at the Reliat Gallery on Military Street, number 5 Military Street, Oniko.
Okay, we've got a few seconds left before, sadly, we have to end the chat. But I'm particularly interested in your lineage. You are of Nigerian, British and Sudanese origin. Explain that rather hectic mix to us.
It is very hectic because even in Nigeria, I have like a bunch of things. So on my mom's side, my grandfather is of Sudanese lineage. His father or mother came in from Sudan. On my dad's side, my grandfather or my great-grandfather came in with the Niger Delta Trading Company and came into Nigeria, actually specifically Delta State, met my grandmother, got her pregnant and left. And that was happening a lot during that time. So you had a lot of foreign workers coming in and having children with the women in that area and leaving. And it was interesting because for the longest time, I had no idea where my grandfather was from. I knew he was a foreigner, but I had no idea where he was from. And my cousin actually did like a trace of our genes and found his family in Kent. So it was the wildest thing. Yeah.
And I'm glad it's manifesting itself in your art. Sabrina Coleman Pinheiro, the anxiety visual artist, thank you very much indeed.